Hello and welcome to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. The chaos that you see before you on the table is to answer the age-old question. If you buy a clone Prusa, can you do a bear upgrade? So, before we get started, let's roll those credits. Okay, so the question today on everybody's lips, we did the Prusa clone video, the one from fystec a little while ago. That was a really popular build, a really popular video, and a few people have gone out and bought them, and quite rightly a number of people had questions about that printer. So the first and foremost question was, can you change the firmware on it, and can you do firmware upgrades? From what I have seen, the answer is yes. It came with the latest Prusa firmware on it. The board is an AINC mainboard clone. So as far as I can tell, the firmware that's on it is completely stock Prusa anyway. So stock firmware works on it. There's really no reason why newer firmware won't work on it as well. But the other question that we had on a few of the groups was, can you do an upgrade on it? Can you do the Prusa Bear upgrade? So we had previously attempted a Prusa Bear upgrade. However, we attempted it a while ago, and what we attempted it with was actually an ANET A8. So we didn't have a lot of the parts that you need to be able to make it into a Prusa. We assumed that because that was a Prusa clone, we would be able to do it. That isn't the case. So, so what we've done, we've gone out and bought a brand new fystec clone of the Prusa i3 Mark III S, and today we are going to see whether or not we can turn it into a bear. So we've dismantled everything from the old bear frame, which we have here. We have all the parts and all the T-nuts and everything else. We have printed a number of parts as well. As you can see, it's going to be red and gold as much as possible. That is to make it into something akin to an Iron Man build. So we'll see whether or not that works. This is Filoprint. This is all done in Filoprint's PET G. Some of the parts didn't print in time for us to do this video, so there is a good chance we may have to reuse some orange Prusa parts, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We're going to do a time-lapse of us building this, mainly because I don't know how to build it. So there's no point in trying to present this as an instructional video. It isn't an instructional video. This is us seeing whether or not we can do something, not necessarily how you should do it. But that's kind of the motto of the channel. We make mistakes, so you don't have to. So, without further ado, let's move to that time-lapse. Okay, so you'll probably have noticed that on the time-lapse video it certainly didn't show us finishing this. So that was mainly because it took a lot longer to build than we initially planned. But also we had to make some changes.
And also we forgot to carry on the time lapse.
And there was also that we forgot to turn the camera back on, which wasn't ideal. But okay, but this is the finished result. This is a Prusa Bear. We have had to make some changes and some things didn't work as we planned. But as you can see from what's in front of me, the machine does print. We had some issues with our first print, which we then corrected to get it printing properly. But as you can see, we've done some models. These are actually parts of the GAN body war rig that Mike is currently doing, and you'll see a video update of that very soon. But other than that, this is a Prusa Bear, and we'll just quickly go through some of the changes that we made and some of the issues that we've still got. Okay, so as you can see, this is now nice and rigid 2030 extrusions, and they work really well. The frame is super sturdy. It has meant that some of the parts had to be slightly redesigned, because obviously normally this is a steel plate as an A-frame, and that's how the parts all screw in. They screw directly into threaded holes. That's no longer the case because they have to go into these extrusions. So the original plan was for us to print all of this out of a gold PET-G, and we were going to sort of make it into kind of an Iron Man thing, but that didn't really work. So the PET-G that we printed with, we really didn't get particularly great results. And there were some real issues with the quality of the printing, so we ended up reusing original parts. We've kept the stock extruder mainly because, again, we tried to do the bare X-axis one, but the bare parts that we did, they just weren't good enough to be able to use and actually expect them to be any good, really. We have an issue whereby we've basically we've attached the power supply, but it sits off the back, and there's one bolt and a T-nut that holds the base to it, but we've actually ended up zip tying it to this part of the frame as well, just to make sure that doesn't move. And we have some real issues with the control box. So I don't know if it's the way that we printed it or whether we've not done the right brackets or what, but that is basically just glued together. So access to the electronics is pretty limited. You have to break the glue and then re-glue it afterwards, which obviously isn't ideal. But that being said, it is now a Prusa Bear. So we followed all of the same instructions. We haven't upgraded or changed any of the electronics. So we're still using the Pinder probe it came with, all the fans, all the hot end, all the everything else, exactly as you do with a regular Bear upgrade. We have put the Prusa Bear firmware on here. I'd be lying if I said I've noticed a material difference between that and stock firmware, but it does answer the question as to whether or not you can flash this INC mainboard clone with either Prusa software or with Bear software, because you can and it works. Everything is the same, so you still can do all the same calibration. You don't gain any size, you don't gain any Z height or any bed size or anything like that. It's all still stock dimensions. But let's have a quick look at how it prints. I'm trying to get in tighter on this and just have it on my hands.
I'm going to flip it over so you can see it.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, still recording.
Right, so this was the first thing that we did. So you can see that we've got some extrusion issues up here. That was because this is a Prusa clone, not a Mark III, it comes with like a fake Capricorn tube, and the fake Capricorn tube is really quite tight. Theoretically that's great, except that in this particular instance it isn't. What it's doing is it's creating drag right at the top of the nozzle, and it's actually causing clogs when you're doing retractions and things. It's a shame because the rest of the print
actually came out quite nicely. We had some, I don't know if you can see that there, we had some retraction issues, but we resolved those for the next lots of prints. So we started by printing one of the tyres for the wall rig. These are pretty large. They came out really nice. They came out really nice. There's a few sort of under extrusion parts, but this was after we changed the PFDE tube, and it made a real difference. So they came out really nicely. We did 2 of those. So again, nice surface finish and really nice finish on those tread lines there. We also did these. So these are print in place bearings. You can see that the tolerances are nice. They move nice and freely. All of these just print in place with no supports in them, and I mean, again, printed really nicely. So nice smooth top layers. I don't know if you can see there. You can see on the bottom that we just need to tweak our Z height just a touch, because these aren't quite getting the squash that they need. But the same on this one as well. Really nice and free moving, nice tolerances, printed them really nicely, so they will work really well when we do the rig. Okay, so the real question of the video is, can you make a Prusa Bear from a clone and for about 1/3 of the price of a brand new Prusa? And the answer is, yeah, you can. You know, the clone that fystec do, that's the clone that we use. We don't use the Triangle Labs one. I've heard mixed reviews about theirs. The fystec clone that we use is genuinely very close. Other than the bit of blue Capricorn fake tube that created a bit of resistance, everything else on this just kind of works. You know, it's printing nicely. You know, these parts that we printed these at like 80mm a second, so that, you know, it's still got that nice reliability that Prusa has, and it is about 1/3 of the price. The clone itself cost us, if I recall, $230 for the original. Well, I say for the original, for the fystec clone, and then it's about $110 for the Bear upgrade, which is, again, you know, it's these extrusions. There's all the bolts and everything that you need to change over. There's some T-nuts and things that go in here, but for the most part, you know, all the printed parts that you print for the Bear, you print yourself. We've sort of since tuned our profiles, so there may come a point where we decide we want to make this sort of look all really nice and gold, and we may take it apart and do it all again. I think that's fairly unlikely. I mean, the look and feel would have been cool, but, you know, if it works, it works. It is just a printer at the end of the day. So yeah, so the answer to the question of, can you make a Prusa clone for 1/3 of the cost? Yeah, you really can, and you can do a Bear upgrade on it, which is really a testament to how close that fystec clone is to the original machine. That not only is it so close you can follow the original Prusa instructions, but you can even do upgrades that are specifically designed for the original Mark III as well, and those upgrades work. So yeah, so genuinely really impressed. Everything came out not quite as we planned, but as well as we wanted it to, and yeah, it's all working. So thanks for checking out the video, guys. There'll be another video coming soon where our other Prusa Mark III, we've done a Bondtech extruder upgrade because, you know, reasons, and we'll do a video of that. We've also got the Prusa Mini clone that we bought from fystec as well, so we'll have a review of that coming up soon. So keep checking out the channel, guys, and don't forget to subscribe.